Hi everybody, I'm Sveva Battaglia. I'm a postdoc researcher at the Foscari University of Venice. Let me share with you my PowerPoint, just a second. Okay, so today my contribution is about online hate speech in sport and the role of intercultural communication, the case of Italy. In my contribution is divided basically into three parts. The first is a reflection on hate speech in sports. I will give you some data from a linguistic perspective, and then we will talk about legislation in Italy, and finally the role of intercultural communication to tackle hate speech. First of all, I would like to underline the paradox connected with sport, as sport can be bearer of values such as inclusion, free play, well-being, but at the same time, sport can be the reason of hate. Currently, I'm working in a research project, which is a European project, Erasmus Plus Rights, respect is the goal, hate speech threatens sport integrity. It involves 6 countries, and I'm investigating the key role of intercultural communication to tackle hate speech. In one of the first deliverables, we have collected 74 stories of hate speech. We've made interviews through a questionnaire, and these are some of the findings. So you can see that generally the target, 37%, is about race and ethnicity. And these targets also are present in the interviews that we have collected from Italy. We have collected 74 stories, but the most part of them were face-to-face communication, whereas the 23% were general circulation or online hate speech. So I've decided to match our data with some other researchers. For example, this one, Barometer of Hate in Sports, is an analysis of the posts and tweets during a period of 3 months, where the social pages, Facebook and Twitter, of the most important sports media in Italy have been analyzed. And these sports media are La Gazzetta dello Sport, Tutto Sport, Il Corriere dello Sport, Sky Sport, and Sport Mediaset. So as you see, a huge number of posts and tweets have been analyzed. And 13% of the comments of Facebook and 30% of the comments of Twitter contain hate speech. But since Facebook generates 26 times the volume of comments of Twitter, you can understand that these numbers are, of course, relative, but they represent really a huge amount of hate. Another interesting fact is that hate speech is more often related to discussions or positions of user interacting with other users, so not related to the content of a post itself. Football is the sport more associated with hate, and specifically Mario Balotelli and Lukaku are the football players who generally receive more hate, the biggest amount of hate speech, especially for their skin color. So matching the data collected, it's possible to see the frequency and importance of topics related to ethnicity, race, and color as triggering agents of hate speech. I would say that race, maybe it's not an appropriate word, but even the definition provided by the Council of Europe uses the term race. So that's why I'm using it. And so we can also connect these comments with the topics and metaphors related to whitening, so the parameter of white skin as normal, and sort of a feeling of invasion perceived. So talking about national origin, we can associate this concept to the labels of primary potency created by Allport in his fundamental study, The Nature of Prejudice. So, for example, when we say a woman, a Chinese, an athlete, um, these can be all labels, but only Chinese is a label of primary potency. I mean, these labels about national origin, which can be Italian, Chinese, German. But these labels, what happens? They somehow blind us. So they distract us from all the other features of the person. And so actually we're doing there is a sort of reduction of the complexity of the person. And when we talk about reducing complexities into categories, we are actually using stereotypes. But using stereotypes is something actually very natural because the human mind needs categories. Human mind needs to simplify somehow reality. So one of the main contributions that intercultural communication can give to tackle hate speech is to help overcoming stereotypes and prejudices. So now I would like to move to the part about legislation in Italy. This will be a short historical excursus. So for example, I would like to mention this law 654. Italy approved the New York Convention to abolish all forms of racial discrimination. And Law 205 defines as a crime the propaganda of ideas based on concepts of racial superiority or ethnic hate or instigating to acts of racial or ethnic or religious discrimination. The law punishes who incites or makes violent acts on racial, ethnic, or religious basis. So what is interesting for media is that by law, they must not disseminate contents of hate, incitement, or intolerant behavior on race, ethnicity, or religion basis. The European Commission acknowledged that the internet and social media are environments where hate speech takes place. And so the Code of Conduct on Countering Illegal Hate Speech has been issued. And so some web companies like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Microsoft, who have entered into this code, they have to implement a system of notice and take down so that hateful contents are removed within 24 hours, and they have to cooperate to best practices against hate and prejudices. In Italy, there is not a normative definition specifically focused on hate speech, but we have a parliamentary commission, Commissione Segre, to provide legislative tools to control the phenomenon of intolerance, racism, anti-Semitism, and instigation to hate and violence against people or groups on the basis of ethnic origin, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or particular physical or psychic conditions. So actually, there are rules and also punishment. But the problem is preventing, detecting, and blocking hate online. So, talking about language in Italy, De Mauro has created a list of words to identify hate speech. But of course, there are some criticalities for softwares when they have to detect hate speech online. So, for example, the creative use of language in the written form and the use of symbols or even the paraverbal aspects represent a problem for softwares to detect hate speech. And another problem is the fact that maybe there are no lists of hate words in all the languages. So this is also a critical point which should be maybe implemented. So actually, my proposal is to investing in education and intercultural communication. What I mean is to develop an intercultural communicative competence which mixes linguistic abilities and behavior abilities. So I refer to the model created by Professor Balboni and Professor Caon. And in this model, we see that behavior abilities are the central point of view, relativism of the point of view, judgment withholding, active listening, empathy, and negotiation of the meanings. In order to give also a practical proposal, so what we can do practically, especially at school, I would like to underline that we have in Italy this new subject, which is citizenship, which is actually not new, but Law 92 has made some changes. So now this topic, citizenship, involves all the subjects at school, so it's transversal. And it should deal with topics like constitution and rights, environment and sustainability, and digital citizenship. So my proposal, especially focusing language teaching, is to give special attention to the phenomenon of hate speech within the frame of digital citizenship and constitutional rights. Intercultural and linguistic education should educate to respect and awareness of the use of language and its consequences. And sport topics can be used as motivating topics during the lessons. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope this presentation was interesting for you. And for any questions, this is my email address. Thank you very much again. Bye.